All right, let's jump straight in. Today we're unpacking a cinematic battle from ancient mythological texts, specifically the Mahabharata. And honestly, it feels exactly like a storyboard for a modern action blockbuster. I'm talking towering giants, dark magic, a literal ticking clock, and a wildly brutal finishing move. In this explainer, we're going to use the text itself to show you just how vividly these ancient sources paint a picture. We get dropped right into the middle of a massive, misty, dust-filled forest brawl. The scene is framed from the perspective of bystanders, and you've got the hero, Arjuna, casually offering to tag into a deathmatch. He looks over at his brother, who is currently locked in hand-to-hand combat with a giant monster, and basically says, "Hey, you look a little tired. Want to take a breather and let me handle this?" But, to understand how we arrived at this wild moment, we really need to rewind just a bit. Section 1. A beautiful stranger appears. So, before all the destined shouting, the stage is set with this super jarring contrast. Picture this: Kunti and her sons, who the text describes as tigers among men, are fast asleep in a deep, dark forest. A forest the color of a blue cloud, to be exact. Kunti wakes up, but not because of the monster. No, she wakes up to find an extraordinarily beautiful woman just standing over them. Kunti is completely disoriented. She literally asks her, "Are you a deity of these woods or an apsara," which is a celestial nymph? All the while, a massive earth-shaking fight is already echoing in the background. Well, the beautiful stranger introduces herself as Hidimva, but then she drops a total bombshell. She isn't a goddess at all. She reveals she's actually a Rakshasa. If you're not familiar, a Rakshasa is a mythological being known for having incredible strength, and the ones in this specific forest, they are fiercely cannibalistic. Oh, and to make matters worse, she happens to be the sister of the Rakshasa chief who rules this exact wood. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the immediate stakes. Talk about a plot twist. Hidimba was sent by her cruel brother on a very strict mission: assassinate Kunti and all her sleeping children. But the text tells us that the second she laid eyes on the mighty Bhima, she was completely overcome by the deity of love. She just completely abandoned her mission, mentally chose Bhima as her husband on the spot, and absolutely refused to harm them. Of course, because she defected, her cannibal brother got tired of waiting around. He came storming down to the camp to slaughter them himself. But Bhima, who was already awake, intercepted him. To keep from waking his mother and brothers, Bhima just dragged the monster away by sheer force. So, Hidimva points out to the newly awakened Kunti that these two titans are now locked in combat, grinding against each other and filling the whole region with their shouts. Section 2. The Twilight Ticking Clock. Which brings us right back to where we started. The rest of the brothers, Yudhishthira, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, finally jump up from their sleep and witness a clash that honestly defies imagination. The author uses these incredible sensory details. They aren't just fighting hard, they are fighting like two lions. The sheer power of their footwork is kicking up so much dust, it looks like the smoke of a massive forest fire. And because they're covered in this thick dust, their huge bodies resemble tall cliffs enveloped in mist. It's so visceral, you can practically choke on the dust just thinking about it. This is the exact moment Arjuna smiles and politely offers to help out, figuring Bhima must be getting worn down by the Rakshasa. But Bhima is having absolutely none of it. He waves off the help, confidently telling his brother to just stand back and watch like a stranger. He promises that since the monster has come within the reach of his arms, there's zero chance he's escaping with his life. But Arjuna realizes something crucial that Bhima hasn't quite noticed yet. The most important factor in this fight, it's time. The battle started in the pitch dark of night, but as they've been wrestling, hours have ticked by. Arjuna looks up, points out that the east is reddening, morning twilight is setting in. And why does that matter? Because it introduces a very immediate, very dangerous ticking clock to this battle. You see, the lore of this world dictates that Rakshasas gain dangerous powers of deception, specifically during the two twilights, dawn and dusk. So Arjuna urgently warns Bhima to stop playing with his food, essentially. If they drag this fight out into daybreak, the monster's going to multiply his strength and start using dark magic. He tells Bhima to use all the strength of his arms, right now. Section 3. The Brutal Finishing Move. Once Bhima realizes he's on the clock, the entire tone of the fight shifts. We're about to witness an absolutely brutal climax. Blazing up with anger, Bhima unleashes a devastating four-step sequence. First, he channels the power of universal dissolution from his divine father, Vayu, the wind god. Second, he grabs the Rakshas's blue body, hoists it high into the air, and literally whirls it 100 times. Third, he dashes him into the ground with the force you'd use on a wild beast. And finally, he grabs the body, bends it double, and snaps it right in the middle. I mean, it is just a stunning display of absolute physical dominance. And he doesn't just defeat him physically, he absolutely destroys him verbally too. Right before that final slam, Bhima taunts the cannibal. He tells him his intelligence was useless and that he grew fat on unsanctified flesh. Bhima declares he's going to make the force blessed today, cleansing it of this evil just like a gardener pulling out prickly weeds. Now, listen to this incredibly specific detail from the source text. As the Rakshasa dies, his terrifying yell fills the entire forest, and it's described as sounding exactly like a deep, wet drum. It's such a visceral, almost shudder-inducing detail that grounds this magical, mythological fight in a very real physical reality. You can almost hear that heavy, echoing thud in your mind, right? Section 4. Escaping Duryodhana's Wrath. So, the monster is dead, the forest is safe, but there is absolutely zero time for high fives. The brothers are thrilled, rushing over to congratulate Bhima, the chastiser of foes. But Arjuna immediately grounds them back in harsh reality. He points out a nearby town and urges his mother, his brothers, and their new companion Hidimva to pack up and flee instantly. Why? Because the noise of the battle might attract attention. And he explicitly states they must leave so that someone named Duryodhana does not trace them. Which leaves us with this massive, looming cliffhanger to ponder. Bhima just effortlessly snapped a towering, magical, cannibalistic giant in half before breakfast. Yet the very first thought Arjuna has is absolute dread that this man named Duryodhana might find them. So just how terrifying, how incredibly powerful is this Duryodhana if these mighty warriors are running from him in the shadows? It's a brilliant narrative hook that proves these ancient texts know exactly how to keep you hooked. Keep that question in the back of your mind, because in the world of the Mahabharata, the danger is always escalating.